Yo, what's going on, everyone? I'm Eris Wuju, and Behavior just dropped some changes for the Skull Merchant, and they changed her because there was some pushback on how she could be played, and they made a lot of significant changes to her. So I'm curious how you guys would feel about these changes, so let me know in the comments. And consider subscribing. We are almost at 600, so I would greatly appreciate it. But let's get into these changes. Alright, so let me just scroll past this fluff, and okay, so what's changed? They removed the killer's aura when hacking a drone, so I know people had complaints about, people basically trying to hack a drone, get the information after hitting the little quick time events and all that stuff, so they're not going to be doing that, so she's going to maintain some of that stealth. The global detection power, as you can see, survivors who are running or walking is going to be consistent with how the drone detects the players. The stealth drone lines, I know she starts with 5. The lines are going to be a bit more visible, but you're basically going to have to crouch to engage in them. Another big thing is, of course, she has her 5 drones, but she has one other drone that kind of sits up above her, and she shoots that drone later, but we'll get into that. So the many drones she has, they still work as before. However, they'll only injure survivors. All right, they're not gonna be able to down the survivors anymore. I know there were a lot of people saying that she would be able to slug, and honestly, yeah, people do play that way. That could have definitely been the case, but it looks like they're only gonna injure now. So let's move on. So any survivor hit with the drone propulsion are gonna be tagged with the claw trap, which is key. And these claw traps, they have to be removed by the survivors, when they have the time to do it safely. Now, the drone that is above the Skull Merchant, mostly like throughout the game, basically, she's going to be able to basically shoot it from her shoulder. And then when it lands, it's going to be like an AoE kind of area of effect damage. And then survivors that are tracked with that claw trap are going to then be able to get downed. Now, if the Skull Merchant hits somebody with that drone that's above her shoulder without tagging them first with the propulsion drones, it's not going to injure them. It's basically not going to do anything. You have to mark them first. So basically, the survivors and Skull Merchant are always going to have to interact with each other. So as we go down here, they basically say, of course, you want to put your drones in certain areas with traffic because you're most likely to get your claw trap started. All right, so tag and track. When those idle stealth drones detect a survivor, Skull Merchant can switch to them and try to get them marked. And if the survivor is hit with the claw trap, they have been hit with that propulsion, that survivor will also suffer from the broken status effect. So it's not like they can get hit and they can just heal right away. They're basically going to have to remove that claw trap when they have the time to do that. So with the EMP dart, we know that it's going to be a little bit of a AoE effect. You're going to have to mark them first, and then you can use it. So this is going to be a lot easier to land because it's going to have, it's AoE. It's not like you got to have pinpoint accuracy. And because of its AoE effect, it seems like you can potentially down 2 survivors with one shot. So that's pretty sick. And on the survivor perspective, we know that you can send those drones back to her inventory if you finish that interacting with the drone successfully. And when it comes to her global detection, we know that she can kind of activate it when it's fully charged up, and to avoid being spotted, you can crouch walk or just stop moving altogether. And if you are noticed, you can basically try to juke and not try to get hit by one of those drones she has. So when it comes to this image here, it's basically saying how her EMP dart works. There's a brief charge and then it shoots out. It does that big damage. But it does says if there's an obstruction between you both, it basically won't hit you. Oddly enough, this image, I feel like it doesn't really portray that. So maybe it does go through walls or not. I'm not really sure what's going on there, but let's continue. But yeah, that basically wraps it up. Of course, you can remove it, and then when you remove it, you're not going to be broken. You can probably heal, but it's going to take time to do that, and the Skull Merchant does have dibs on your location while that's going on. Now, these changes, like, they're still willing to hear more feedback, and, there could be even more changes when these updates go live. So thank you for watching the video. Take care.